Hi, great people. Guess what? Like I promised you, every Wednesday is Eve's Kitchen. And so today we are talking about submission to authority, to our bosses, to our husbands. So, how do we submit to our husbands when their IQ, social status, or financial status is lower than us? Well, I don't know how. But let's talk to Pastor Kenny and find out.
Hey, good people. My name is Kennedy. I hope you're doing well. Thank you for this invite to Eve's Kitchen. So I got a few questions a number of days ago on submission, and I'll delve to them quickly. Now, the first question was, what is submission? For me, submission is accepting, yielding, or subjecting to the will or authority of another. Now, in interpreting that definition, you have to appreciate that there is therefore an awareness of understanding of roles or functions for the parties. And then, of course, there'll be elements of position or status, or it would even be the issue of environment or setting that determines those acts of submission. Now, for the sake of this brief conversation, good examples will include Jesus Christ. When you read the account in Philippians 2 5 to 10, and then appreciate how Jesus Christ counted himself as nothing so that he would be crucified. He did not cling to his rights, he did not claim his rights, he did not insist that he is God, and so he cannot be subjected to crucifixion. And yet with it came the authority that we now have, that at his name every knee must now bow. And then there will be the issue of man submitting to Jesus Christ in Ephesians 5:21, and then quickly again, man and a woman submitting to each other as a man submits or follows Christ. That is in the same book of Ephesians chapter 5, verse 21 going onwards. Now, along with the question of submission, there was the aspect of authority, where now I was asked what is submission to authority. Now, here we know that when it comes to authority, we are talking of subjecting oneself to a prescribed governing body or person. Mhm. Now, these people may derive their authority, say, from traditions, in the cases of, say, elders. And then there is the government or our supervisors in the places of employ who derive their authority from the law, rules, and regulations, and systems or procedures and regulations within our places of engagement. And then, of course, there's the charismatics. Now, these charismatics are our leaders as we know them, and then we will also have pastors in that category. But ultimately, we'll have Jesus Christ as a key authority there. And then we notice that for this category, they heavily rely on their qualities or also their personalities. When you read the account of Romans 13 1 to 5, you begin to realize that scripture expects us to obey those in authority and to even pray for them. So it's a very, very important matter. Now, the third question was, how can one be submissive to a husband who is spiritually and financially less mature than her? There will be assumptions here, but I know the most common scenarios would be, say, where she's making more or managing better, or both, when it comes to their resources. And then another scenario would be where maybe both of them are believers, but the wife may be more involved or very motivated, or on matters of Christianity or salvation, or probably the husband is not even a believer, you know. Now, when you read the account of Ecclesiastes chapter 4, verse 9, Solomon says that two are better than one. It was actually an emphasis on the benefits of of cooperation. Now, when you read that scripture and you look at this issue based on the biblical requirements, then you will first of all be compelled to examine the foundational aspects as portrayed in Ephesians chapter 5 verse 21 to 24. Here, you will find yourself asking yourself some very important questions. For example, you'll ask yourself, is there a committed relationship with Christ in this relationship? Another question that will be very crucial is that is there mutual love? Is there mutual love between the two? And is it well expressed between them? Now, is there respect? Because I know we often begin to resent one another in relationships when one is falling short, and particularly for finances, and the lady carrying more weight in terms of the responsibilities of the house, the issue of resentment is common in those situations. And then, of course, there's the issue of equality and equity. On the one hand, we hear a lot of people talking about equality among partners, but the truth of the matter is that it goes beyond that. You need also to address it from the equity perspective, so that if the woman, for example, is bringing 1 million and the man is bringing 100,000, to what extent is the man stretching his 100,000 so that he can hold his own within the relationship? Because it would be a pity for him to imagine that since the woman is earning more, that he cannot do anything, and so the woman should carry um, every weight in the household as far as finances are concerned. That would be a pity. And so equity would demand that even if the man is spending 50K or 80K in the home, it's a good proportion compared to him not spending anything just because the woman earns several times above him. And then there's the issue then of unity and harmony, because you'll notice from the foregoing issues I've raised that the moment the resentment sets in, then people will want to be independent in what they are doing. That is when you realize there are secrets here and there. That is when you realize one is doing something without consulting the other and all that, because after all, I'm earning more. Why do I need to engage so much with this fellow? And so those scenarios are very likely to occur. And when you read them in the context of Ephesians 5 21 to 24, you realize that it raises those pertinent questions. And then the issue of looking at it prayerfully should be addressed and attacked and confronted from a prayerful perspective. I'll delve on prayer only today because of time. For example, when you read the book of James chapter 4 verse 7, we are called upon to humble ourselves and then resist the devil, he'll flee from us. Now, in humbling ourselves and then submitting to God and then resisting the devil, we begin to take a standpoint that is very critical in addressing those challenges. When you read Matthew 18:19, there you'll notice that the scripture is telling us that if two agree on a matter on earth, heaven simply endorses that issue. And so when you look at it from that perspective, the moment there is that form of agreement, it will help you and your partner to cover the union against the weaknesses that the devil could exploit. Those issues we've raised up there. For example, one of the things you will have realized is that you'll be able to overcome or avoid the onset of resentment, as we've mentioned it up there. And then you'll notice also it promotes truthfulness and openness. You become more truthful and more open when you go before God and consequently involve your partner. Because it is one thing to lie to mere mortals, and yet it is another to lie to God. And so, apart from that, it will enhance commitment. The more you unite in prayers, the more you get together in prayers, the more you realize you become committed to the relationship and to the family. And so, prayer is very important. It's a unifying basis. And then there's the issue of eliminating selfishness. I'm a firm believer in the issue of pulling together and sharing. Pulling together and sharing goes a long way in ensuring that the resources are well um, executed, and in the case where one partner is earning less, there's less pressure on the other partner when they have not brought in something, because what happens is that it is a pool that helps to distribute after you've already put in something there together. Now, at a point where it reaches where one of the partners is no longer pulling, you realize that there will be certain forms of resentment from the other partner, because they probably didn't even know what the other partner was making. The beauty about pooling is that you are able to tell that this is what we are contributing towards the whole family. So there is a sense of awareness, and there is a sense of belonging, and that participation is corporate, and it helps to foster a good relationship, and then support each other. Let you be exuberant in praise as one of the partners wants to go and engage in something. All these things should be addressed from a prayerful perspective, with open acts of kindness, avoiding what I would call abrasiveness. Because I know there's a tendency to be abrasive, very big one. And I know ladies are very good in being abrasive, or even the men will be abrasive depending on what they are having to contend with at any given point in time. Praise your partner when they are engaging in something. Don't bring them down. Particularly men's egos are fragile when it comes to abrasive comments and that kind of thing. Hey, you tried this last time. What makes you so sure that you'll succeed this time? Instead, let's encourage one another. As a parting shot, I'll say that submission may not necessarily come out of humility. Let's be very clear about that. I know for Jesus Christ in Philippians, I give you the example of Philippians chapter 2, 5 to 10. It was born of humility. But the truth of the matter is, a lot of people allow themselves to yield to authority on the basis of them not having any other option. But when it is born out of humility, a lot of good comes out of it. We have to be ready to drop hard positions, though, so that these relationships can last and thrive. It will be very crucial, though, for every Christian to embrace the issue of prayer. That one is a must. That one is actually foundational in any relationship that you hope to work. And then love. What does First Peter 4:8 talk about? Love, it says that love covers a multitude of sins. And then mutuality. Let's be mutual in our engagements. Let me appreciate what you're bringing, and you must also appreciate what I'm bringing. And let us appreciate and understand each other. How do you want me to express love to you, and how would you want or wish that I do, so that you can enjoy this relationship? Those are questions we must be ready to answer. They are certainly good bedrocks for any healthy and submissive relationship. You can rest guaranteed that they promote harmony, respect, and peace in all our families. So God help us. Thank you.